Thank you. I left my husband because I found it much easier to be happy and in the vortex without him. And
now let's contemplate this for just a moment. Because what you're trying to tell us, and we're not trying to get you to get back together with him, we just want to clear a few things up.
Okay.
So what you're trying to tell us is, I was in the vortex, and he wouldn't come in and play with me, so I left him.
Exactly.
But that can't be. What really happened was, I wanted to be in the vortex, but I kept focusing on him as he was, so I kept popping out of the vortex. And I got so sick and tired of being out of the vortex that I left him.
Yes. And it was exhausting.
But it's always exhausting out of the vortex. But what we want to say to you, and we want to say to all of you, because we spent quite a bit of time earlier saying this and you didn't hear it, so we're going to give it to you really, really specifically. It's not your husband's or anybody's job to behave in a way that keeps you easily in the vortex. It's your job to keep yourself in the vortex. So when you say, I left my husband because it was hard to stay in the vortex, we say, then there's no place for you to go. Because everywhere you go, there's going to be something that when you focus upon, it's going to take you out of the vortex. Being in the vortex is an inside job, self-discipline thing. And we don't disagree that it's hard to be in the vortex if you're with someone who's ornery or with someone who is determined to not feel good. We get that. We're just saying, don't give your power over to somebody. When you say, I couldn't be happy because of you, we want to say, then there's no hope for you because you don't have the ability to focus beyond what you're observing. And you got to have the ability to focus beyond what you're observing or nothing can get better. Everything would have to stay the same if you could only focus upon what you're observing, you see. Now, we're being irrationally hard on you because the whole world acts just like that. And it's not working out for any of you.
But
almost everybody is saying, be different and I'll feel better. Be different and I'll feel better. Be different and I'll feel better. And we say, you just got to decide that you're going to feel better before anyone will be different.
Well, I get that. I mean, I stuck around for years and I felt like I really, but you know, like if there's something exploding next to you, isn't it rational to go the other way so that
Yes.
you don't get shrapnel kind of in you?
Yes, there is logic to that, but it still defies the laws of the universe because what it implies is that there is a law of pushing away, that there's a law of exclusion, and there isn't, because when you focus upon something unwanted enough that it causes you to take action, so you're moving away from the shrapnel. What happens is it follows you everywhere you go. Different faces, different places, but if it's active in your vibration, you can't get away from it. You can get away from what you don't want by going toward what you do want.
I feel like I'm doing that. I feel like I am going towards...
We're just trying to rework your conversation about it because the conversation and the way you present it to us does not work.
Okay.
So are you then saying to us that in that tumultuous relationship of knowing what you don't want, you really now know what you do want?
Exactly. The contrast was so extreme.
So did you see what just happened here? We said, so in the contrast of knowing what you don't want, you know what you do want. And you said, yes. The contrast was so extreme. We opened the door to go in the vortex. But you didn't go. We're just saying.
Yeah.
In other words, there's this need to face reality and to explain what happened. And in a sense, you see, here's what we want to say to you. This is so good. This is so good. They are wrapping up the final phases of the relationship book. And here we are. So, in knowing what you don't want, you know more clearly what you do want. But there is a very powerful tendency, not just you, but almost everyone, of spending a lot of time explaining what you do want on the basis of what you don't want, or explaining your justification for getting to go to a different place by explaining how bad it was. But it keeps that active and doesn't let you go. In other words,
Right.
you got to let all that go. Got to stop talking about it. You got to stop thinking about it. You got to stop justifying it. In other words, we get it and we agree with you. You had that relationship, and oh boy, what did it ever do for your vibrational escrow? It's enormous. But now you want to turn your undivided attention to what's over there and never look back, or you will turn into salt.
Well, that relates to my question as I'm trying to really focus on the great things about that relationship and the positive things. And
But why torture yourself? Why activate a crappy relationship and try to use pieces of it as your basis of your magnificent new relationship?
Well,
that's like digging a big deep hole and climbing in it and saying, okay, now I'm ready to climb out.
I'm not using it as a basis for my new one. I mean, well, my question is, my husband...
You're going to go there, aren't you? Think it through.
I want to explain my leaving in a way that he understands.
You can't. You can't. There's no way that you can explain it, because he will translate it. Anything that you say, he will translate it into these words: I'm good, you're bad. So the best thing that you can say is, we're different, but blah, 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 everyone says that. They all write the books, it's not you, it's me. That's not satisfying either, you see. What you have to do, tell him about the vortex. Say, I want to feel high on life, and I want to feel good about things. And you want to tell him based on the laws of the universe, and tell him the reality as it exists. If you want to really explain to him why you had to leave, you want us to give you the exact words?
Please.
I
get my pen.
I wanted to be in the vortex. Then you can go into detail about what that is if you think he's ready. And I didn't have the self-discipline to go there while I was living with you. Because you were so big and so important to me that I gave you an inordinate amount of my attention. And in doing so, without meaning to, you trained me into a vibration that separated me from me. And I loved you so much, I stayed with you for a long time, because I thought that even with that happening, that maybe I could find myself anyway. But turned out